What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. It's the branded dude. I know it's been quite a long time since I made a video. Well, it hasn't been long, but it's kind of felt like it's been long. And as you have already seen by the title, I'm actually going to be doing my regional deck profile. No, I did not end up coming first, guys. I ended up coming 21st out of a total of, I think there was 44 players there at the regionals. But 21st, we sure it's not top 16, not top 8, but I think the way it started, I'll let you guys know how it exactly went, but the way it ended, I was happy with it. It was also my first regional, first ever regional actually that I was playing, and also with branded, which a lot of people are saying that is a dead deck. It's not good whatsoever, but now listen, after today, listen, this deck is pretty good. So yeah, regional deck profile. I'm also going to be discussing my games, and also what's important is that basically this regional was the first major tournament after Supreme Darkness. So I do have quite a bit to talk about here. So the matchups today, guys, unfortunately, I won 3 and lost 3, but I lost game 1, won game 2, and lost game 3, and because of that, I did not end up going up against any ryzeal or maliss decks today. There was maliss, there was a maliss bestial, I think there was the maliss, just maliss itself. I think there was ryzeal Fiendsmith, ryzeal Mitsurugi, and also a pure ryzeal deck. I don't know how many players were playing this, but there were those variants of the deck. So I didn't end up going up against maliss or ryzeal whatsoever, but I ended up going up against, let's see, there was one spiral deck, the one guy, I guess, he was new, first time participating in that tournament, so I ended up getting paired with him. So spiral, yeah guys, listen, that deck is had its time back then, when all the other extra deck monsters and everything else was not hits yet. But yeah, cool, we had that one guy, he's new, trying to test out, so cool. Shout outs to him for coming up, playing at the regionals with that deck. So yeah, we went up against spiral, and then we went up against another branded. There was a branded mirror match. I went up against Chimera Fiendsmith Azamina, White Forest Azamina Scarecrow. It was basically the Vanadium Scarecrow engine in that White Forest Azamina as well. I went up against a Adventure Scarecrow as well, and the other deck I went up was against Mech Knights. Yeah guys, there was a Mech Knights there as well. So yeah, we won 3, lost 3. I'll go get over the games after the deck profile. So let's just hop straight into the deck profile here, guys. So I was playing 60 card branded, same list. Before the testing for these regionals, guys, I was really contemplating very hard on whether I should try cut down the branded list from 60 to maybe 50 or even a bit less. 40, yeah, can't do 40, it's just going to be full branded engine, but we needed like either board breakers or even hand traps. I was even contemplating on playing hand traps as well. Literally, I was trying to see if I could fit in Ash, Imperm, Nerb, maybe also Veilers, or something, at least like 9 hand traps in my deck, trying to make it 50. But it honestly did not feel right whatsoever. It did not feel right. So I ended up going back to the 60, and I was hoping that today I wouldn't brick. Playing 60, you're playing 60, what are the chances you don't see the cards you want to see? So I was a bit hesitant, a bit worried about that. But from my experience playing today, I didn't really brick. The only time I bricked was just the one game 2 against the White Forest Azamina player. Was it White Forest? Yeah, White Forest Azamina Scarecrow player, around game 2. Game 2 I ended up bricking. Unfortunately, I didn't have access to Brand Fusion or Cartesia. I just had Eclipse, Super Poly, and just I think had Havness and Mercuria as well. So I didn't have really much plays, but yeah, didn't brick much. Only bricked once technically throughout the entire day. We played a total of 6 rounds, so yeah, bricked only once. I did end up seeing having access or seeing Brand Fusion. I saw Grass. Both Brand Fusion and Grass actually resolved today. I didn't get hit with Ash today, which was crazy, absolutely crazy. So it was good. Sure, I only ended up winning 3 rounds out of 6, but Brand Fusion and Grass resolved, guys. When Grass was resolving, bro, I hit the tier names. Listen, we were cooking. I was absolutely cooking. So anyways, enough yapping. Let's hop straight into this deck profile. So guys, also I'm doing it on Dueling Book because I have a lot more to discuss. I don't want to take too much time making this video long by showing you a real life deck profile. So I just want to save you guys time, so the cards are here immediately and you can just see it right there than me trying to find these cards in my hands if I was doing a real life deck profile. So anyways guys, we are playing 3 Owlbears standard. We are playing 2 Cartesia, 1 Quem. So as you guys know, I'm not a fan of playing 2 Quems. I only play 1 because every time I play 2 Quems, I end up drawing those cards in my starting hand and not a Lubas. So I only play 1 Quem. Never felt the need to play a second 1 Quem. I did end up summoning Quem of Grand Gugno or Titan Clad as well. So 1 Quem, yeah, 1 Quem did its job. It's fine. I'm happy with 1. I don't want to bump this up to 2. It's cool. Cartesia, yeah, 2 Cartesia, it's fine. Nothing, that's pretty standard. I play 1 Albion. There are branded deck builds that play 3. Now 1 is fine. Saw this card, drew, used its effect to send Retribution, which added back Brand Fusion. So yeah, Albion Shrouded did its job. 2 Macaros because we are on Allure of Darkness for the draw power, but you know, 2 Macaros can help search your other Owlbears related monsters in your deck. So yeah, 2 Monster Negate and Search. Use this quite a bit. There was cases there where I actually didn't even use Allure to banish Mercuria. What I ended up doing was I would activate Brand Fusion with Lost on the field, you know, going to Albion, then Lost would add Mercuria, and I would end up banishing Mercuria and Owlbears to go into Lubellion, and then Mercuria, when banished, triggers just to add Albion the Shrouded, and Albion Shrouded would later send Branded Sword. That's where I got to add Mercuria back to hand. You know, that's the sort of plays I went. I didn't even see Allure of Darkness. I did see it once, but I never used Allure to banish Mercuria or even Tragedy this entire day. So anyways, moving on. The 1 kit, yeah, we need a way to recycle banished branded spells and traps. 3 Allure of Despia, 1 Tragedy, and 1 Adlib. Pretty standard. Adlib was actually a card I was contemplating on taking out, mainly because in this list I actually made changes to my extra deck and side deck. So because I will discuss, you know, when we get to the extra deck, what exactly my thinking was around Adlib, but Adlib ended up staying in the list. Now for the Bestials, we do play 1 Jerusalem, 1 Mag, 3 Sereniers, and 3 Lubellion. So yeah, guys, if you saw my locals deck profile, you know that I am playing a lot more Bestials today. But funny enough, I actually didn't end up seeing any of these Bestials. Sure, I did draw into Mag ones, but you know, I basically didn't play a lot of Bestials whatsoever. The only time Bestials came up was when I used Brand of Fusion to send Lubellion, and then just Lubellion tributing Albion to set itself. But there was never like Bestial plays. I never used Bestials to try interrupt my opponent's graveyard. Nothing like that. Absolutely not. None of that. Serenia just used its effect when sent to grave, and Lubellion just trying to put a continuous branded spell trap on the field. That's it. No Bestial plays whatsoever. There were cases or games where I think it was against the White Forest player where if I had a Bestial in hand, I could have not lost the round, because what happened was in that game, round 2, like I said, I bricked a bit. Sure, I had Super Poly and Book of Eclipse, you know, there was a way for me to play, but if I had Bestials, I would be able to interrupt my opponent a lot more and basically hit his recursion of his White Forest and Azamina fusion monsters as well. But unfortunately, I didn't see any of my Bestials. So yeah, Bestials. So yeah, in my locals deck profile, the Bestials really helped so well against the ryzeal player. But today didn't see any of my Bestials, just Lubellion most of the time, or Fusion. Now that is all the monsters. Well, there actually are other monsters, but just hopping onto the branded spells, we have Branded Fusion, best card in the game. We have 2 Branded in Reds. Branded Red, I play 2, as you know guys, because it's a lot more convenient. I don't like playing 1. Playing 1 doesn't feel right. Playing 2 is cool. Yeah, obviously saw this card a bit when just to use Adlib, or even just to target either Albion or Owlbears, you know, to perform a fusion summon. Branded White, yeah, I used this card quite a bit today. Not a lot, maybe twice or 3 times today. So Branded White is there. Branded Lost and Branded Banishment. Branded Banishment, yeah, sets up line to summon out Lad, and also basically it's your 4th Super Poly as well. I'm pretty happy with these branded spells and traps. I think these can stay as it is. Then we have 3 openings. Obviously, you know, your searchers and your, I guess you could say starters to search Luba and Quem. 1 High Spirits discard. I did try using it once, but I got negated by Ash. But this card, you know, this card hardly ever sees play in my deck. It's just there, you know, because, you know, High Spirits is a good card, but I never ever use this card. So yeah, I was literally, while testing for this regionals, I was even contemplating on taking this card out, but I know I was being crazy. So there is the 1 High Spirits is there. It's a good card. So yeah, it stays there. 1 Regained. Regained, guys, listen, this card, phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. I didn't even, like I said, I didn't see my bestials, so I wasn't using the effect to summon bestials, but the recycling, oh my word. Guys, when I was going up against the branded mirror match, right? Sure, there was Retribution. Retribution came in clutch just to shuffle back my Owlbear's fusion monsters, but regained also being able to recycle my stuff, because against the branded mirror match, we were fusion summoning like crazy. Materials were just going out of our extra deck. Well, fusion monsters were flying out of our extra deck real quick. It was not even not even turn 3, and I already only had like 6 fusion monsters in my extra deck. It was crazy. That branded game was crazy. So yeah, regained really good recycler. So yeah, that is there. 1 retribution, 1 brand sword. Yeah, retribution is retribution. Good card. Shuffle back your branded fusion, or even your fusion monsters that are engraved on the field. Branded sword, I'm playing branded sword because 1, I'm not playing 2 Quems. So branded sword is hopefully there to either add back Quem when it gets banished, if it ends up getting banished, and also Makura, so that is there. Never had a problem. Did I ever use its effect where I can summon tokens? Nope, just used it for its graveyard effect only. We are playing grass, and the T elements Havness and Sharon. I've resolved grass. I think I resolved grass 3 times today. Yeah, I resolved grass 3 times today. Milling, Havness, and Chiron. These effects did resolve. Luckily, I didn't get hit with bestials by my opponent on my T element monsters. But grass was good, guys. Grass treated us well today. We have the 1 Koba standard, 3 fusion deployment. I was thinking of cutting fusion deployment to 2. Because I felt like I was playing too many spells. Actually, no, the truth is I am playing so many spells in this deck. So I was trying to fit in like other monsters. I think I was trying to find space for Golden Sword. So I was planning on cutting 1 fusion deployment for that, because we are playing only 2 Cartesias mainly. Sure, fusion deployment can summon Owlbears as well, but this is here mainly for Cartesia. But that didn't go through. I didn't end up cutting the 3rd one. So 3 is there. I will say though, I did see a lot of spells today. So many spells. That was also the other thing I was worried about, seeing so many spells but not seeing your monsters to be able to summon a Luba, or just having material, essentially just having material. So it was a bit not scary, but yeah, listen, there's a lot of spells in this deck. Yeah, and then we have the triple tactics package, 1 talents, 3 thrusts, and I will also just mention 1 fusion duplication, 1 talents. Did I end up using talents today? Yeah, I used talents to draw today. I didn't use talents to take, but talents is there. 1 talent is fine. Don't feel like playing 2. Fusion duplication. I didn't use thrust to search fusion duplication. There was a time where I just hard drew this card, so that was fine. Thrust. Did I use thrust today? No, didn't really need to use it. Or am I lying to you? Hold up, let me think. Yeah, no, I didn't use thrust today because I had such a good hand. Sometimes I just drew grass, or I had a way to search branded fusion. It was totally fine. So thrust wasn't really used today. Talents was used. Fusion duplication was used. So yeah, thrust is thrust. It's a good card. It's there. 3 Allure of Darkness for the draw power, because in branded listing, guys, you're using your cards in your hand so much, either as discard or as fusion material. So Allure of Darkness just to draw, search and hopefully to draw into your board breakers or even starters and whatever else you need. Board breakers, I was playing 3 Eclipse, 3 Droplets, and 3 Super Poly. Super Poly came in clutch. This card, MVP. Droplet, yeah, Droplet was there. Didn't really use it too much. Eclipse, I did use Eclipse once against the White Forest Runic player, I think. What else did I use it against? Yeah, no. Droplet and Eclipse wasn't like that impactful today, but it was there. It was there, but it wasn't impactful. But Super Poly, my word, was I breaking boards with this. Not crazy, I might be exaggerating, but Super Poly did a lot of work. Love this card. It's good board breaker. Okay, now in the extra deck, we also I did make a bit of a change here. Okay, so we are playing 2 Mirror Jades standard, 1 Rebellion, 2 Albion the branded, 1 Rinbrim, 1 Titanic Lad. I am playing 1 Grand Gugno only. The reason why, guys, if you remember watching my other video, we're not playing a lock, so we don't need a second one. 1 Grand Gugno, it will just fill up your graveyard, and also we are relying on regain to shuffle back Grand Gugno. Was there a case where I banished Grand Gugno and I wasn't able to recycle it back? Funny enough, I think it was against the Chimera Fiendsmith player, where Chimera Fiendsmith as Mina player, where I went brand fusion, which didn't get ashed, and what I did was I sent Owlbears and a T element name. I think it was Chiron. So then I went Chainlink 1 Lubellion, and then Chainlink 2 Chiron. Chiron shuffled back itself and my Lubellion to go into Dragostepia, and then Lubellion's effect resolved by shuffling back my Albaz and my banished Grand Gugnol to go into Mirrorjade. So you know, sure, we only play one, but I think we'll manage with finding a way to recycle this banished Grand Gugnol. So one is fine. Didn't feel the need for the second one at all today. Once Quem hits the field, I think you're in a good position because we have Branded in red and Branded Banishment to target Quem and get it on the field or use it as fusion material. So I think we're all good. I never felt the need for the second one. It was fine. One was just fine. We are playing the Despian Quiritus. Yeah, you'll see Masquerade is not in this list. I'll discuss that in a bit. I was contemplating on playing Despian Proskinion because remember guys, ryzeal Mitsurugi, they end on Detonator and the Mitsurugi Ritual Monster. ryzeal is Detonator is a light and Mitsurugi is a dark. So if you summon a Luba or Quem, that's a Proskinion super poly right there. But you know, I didn't put Proskinion in there, and because I didn't go up against ryzeal Mitsurugi, the player or players who are playing that, I can't really say whether Proskinion is needed. But you know, Kratos, you know, it's a target or Grand Gugnol can summon, but also you can super poly into this if you can. Mud Dragon super poly target. Did I use this today? I did, but I didn't. I did use it once to super poly the opponent's board when I was going up against White Forest as a Mina. As a Mina player, I did use it in the branded mirror match as well. I think, yeah, I did use it against the branded mirror match as well. So yeah, my dragon's just there as a super poly target. Did I feel like I needed Garura? No, not really. Garura, I was contemplating on putting Garura just for Maliss, because remember, Maliss, it's all Cybers monsters, dark attributes, well, depending on what they're playing, but Cybers, dark attributes with different names. So that's a good Garura super poly. You know, you can do it against Maliss, but you know, don't go up against Maliss. So I just felt confident that if you have super poly and you have either Luba or Albaz, you can either go into, or even Cartesia, you have Grand Gugnol, Quiritus, and even Mirrorjade, or whichever other Albaz related fusion you want to go into. So I think it was fine. My dragon's there, used it once, or used it twice. It was fine, didn't like do too much, but you know, it broke the board. It broke the board in a way. One Dragostepia. This is also a super poly target, but I most of the time I'm just fusion summoning into this either of Albion or Lubellion or even the T elements. So yeah, I did end up going to Dragostepia as well today. Cool, that's fine. Lad, yeah, I did end up summoning Lad twice. Yeah, twice. Once was against the Magnite player and the other one was in the branded mirror match. I could have, if I could use branded banishment to reborn a fusion monster, right, or a Despia, and then I could use my branded player's monsters, his light and dark level 8 dragons, to go into Lad. But you know, that didn't come up. I just used my own materials, but it was fine. I did summon Lad, you know, it was good. Lad basically prevented my opponent from activating brand fusion because he didn't have lost any longer because I popped it. So this Lad basically stopped the brand player from following through. I summoned this off the Magnite player, but my Magnite player did have Dark Ruler no more. But listen, I always had a way to summon this card if I needed to. So it was good. You know, it was good there. It's good. If it was game 2, if I'm going second in game 2 or 3, I usually side Lad out, because obviously I don't see myself summoning into this. I'll put Masquerade in for Lad if I'm going second game 2 and 3. That's usually what I did here. But yeah, Lad is there. Now the new addition to my extra deck is Chaos Star Source Dragon. Now here's the thing. I was contemplating my first thought was actually taking out Guardian Chimera and replacing it with Chaos Star Source Dragon, because Chaos Star Source Dragon, it needs a light or dark dragon monster and one other dragon monster. So this is a lot easier to make. Like, you know, you can make this of either Albion, you can make this of Albion, Lubellion, and Albion the branded dragon. You know, because we are playing quite a high dragon count in this deck. So I was contemplating on taking this out for Chimera out for Chaos Star Source Dragon, just so that because I have an easier card that destroys, it's much easier to fusion into. But then I decided, you know, why not just play both Chaos and Guardian Chimera. Because the reason why what happened was when I was testing, I was able to summon Chaos Star Source Dragon during my opponent's turn by I think I used Fusion Duplication or Cartesia. I went into Albion the Branded. Albion the Branded banished materials to go into this. I popped 2 cards on the field, and then I still had Branded in red with Ad Lib Engrave, which gave me a line for Chimera. But because I swapped, instead what I did was I took out Chimera for Chaos Star Source Dragon. I decided, you know what, let's play this because this is easy to access, but we'll put Chimera there as well because why not? I always have a way to summon Guardian Chimera. So now basically we have two cards on the field that can pop 4 cards on the field maximum. We are playing Furious as well, but you know, that was my thoughts. Did I summon this card, Chaos Star Source Dragon? Yes, I did summon it once. Yeah, once because during the other games I didn't really need to summon it out, but I did summon this once to pop. I think I popped only 1 card on the field of my opponent's turn, but yes, this card was very easy for me to make. Literally was. I used it in the Branded Mirror. I think I used it in the White Forest game as well, but I know it was in the Branded Mirror where in the end phase he had Albion. He's Albion branded to set his own branded banishment. Then in the end phase I found a way to put Albion branded, use the effect into Star Source and popped his set branded banishment. You know, it was good. It came out, it was a lot easier rather than using Furious, because Furious, yeah, it can remain on the field, but you're gonna need to sacrifice another monster. Star Source, it just pops 2 cards. Yeah, Furious and Guardian Chimera, pretty standard. You know, this is usual. Did I summon Chimera today? Nope, not at all. I did summon Star Source and Furious quite a bit. So yeah, that is the extra deck. Just little changes where Chaos Star Source Dragon was added in. I'm happy. I was very happy with this extra deck. I didn't feel like I was missing any cards. It was pretty decent. Yeah, I mean, it worked. You have the Albas Fusion monsters and Grand Gogno, and then you just have Stapelia, Lad, and basically your back row removal, essentially Chaos, Furious, and Guardian Chimera. So it was pretty good. I was happy with this deck list, to be honest. Didn't feel like any changes needed to be made. So yeah, that's the extra deck. Let's hop straight into side deck. So side deck, we have 3 Lancia for Maliss, obviously, and obviously we are playing the 1 Artifact Sanctum just so that we have that 4th copy of Lancia basically, and also it's a thrust target as well, so it's there. Now Sanctifier Dragon is actually in my side deck. Now listen, I know there's some people, some of you guys who are watching this thinking, what the hell is this guy doing? Listen, the reason why Sanctify is here and not in the side deck is 1, Sanctify is here so that if I go up against Maliss, if I do not see Lancia in my hand, if I can send it off Branded Fusion, going to Lancia, then going to Sanctifier. Sanctifier can basically reborn Lancia onto my field, and then I just have access to Lancia. That's the reason why, because I was so worried. I've played against Maliss so many times, and sometimes I don't see Lancia if I'm going first in game 2 or 3. So I decided, you know, we're putting Sanctify in there just so that it increases our access to Lancia. Did I go up against Maliss today? Nope. Did I end up using Albion to, you know, do what exactly I said against whatever deck? No, didn't need to side it in today, but that's why Sanctify is in there. Do I like Sanctify? Okay, next question is, why is Sanctify not in my actual extra deck? I don't see a reason for it. I don't see a reason to put Sanctify back in the extra deck. I don't think it holds any place. I mean, if you get hit with Perulia, right? My best line to go for if I get hit with the Malchami Perulia is you go Branded Fusion, sending Lubellion and Albas into Albion. You don't use Albion, you just tribute Albion to summon Lubellion. Lubellion plays either regained or lost, and then in the end phase Albion will set Branded Banishment, and that gives you access to Lad. That is my line. I don't bother going to Sanctify because I don't think it does much. It's not going to help you with much. I don't know what's, you know, obviously depends on what's in my hand, but yeah, Sanctifier can stay in the side deck. It's cool, whatever. This is just testing. I'm not saying you should do this. This is the reason why I did that. Unfortunately, I didn't go up against Maliss, so I cannot confirm with you whether this is something good to use. But that was my reasoning behind this. We have the 1 Masquerade in the side deck. Yeah, unfortunately, I needed to find space to put Chaos Star Source Dragon, so I decided, you know, if we're not going up against Maliss, you know, may as well just put Masquerade in the side, just so that when we go up against Maliss, we can side in Masquerade. So that is why it's there. So I guess that's pretty simple, self-explanatory. We do have Harpies and 2 Lightning Storms. Did I join to these cards? Yes, it did. Yeah, helped me with removing the board, and yeah, I'm pretty happy with it. I was actually thinking of using Evenly, but the issue was I didn't want to sacrifice my battle phase. because I mean we are playing a decent board break. You know, Super Poly, Droplet, Eclipse. So if we're able to basically break your opponent's board in main phase, we can go. We don't need to sacrifice a battle phase. We can deal some damage, wipe, clear up the opponent's monsters on his field. You know, deal some damage essentially. So I don't want to put evenly and sacrifice my battle phase. So Lightning Storms and Harpies, yeah, pretty standard. Happy with this. We are playing 3D barriers. I did Siders in once against the White Frost as a Mina player, but I did not end up seeing this, unfortunately. So yeah, it's just there mainly for Malice, but you know, there is White Frost coming around. There is you know, there's just D-Barrier is D-Barrier. That's all I can say. It's just a good card. It's there for whatever we need to hit. Cool. And 3 Imperms in the side deck. Yeah, guys, listen, I could have kept Imperm in the main deck, but because I already have Droplet, I decided let's just put Imperm in the side deck, because if I end up going second in game 2 or 3, or even if I'm going first game 2 or 3, you know, depending on what's the matchup is, having Imperm there, hopefully it's joined to it, is good. Did I join Imperm once? Yes, I did. I think it was game 2? No, I think it was game 3 against the Chimera Fiendsmith as a Mina player. I drew Imperm. I think he summoned, which one was it? Not Sword Knight, Baphomet, the other level 4. Yeah, I think it was the level 4. I chained Imperm, but unfortunately he had the Chimera Fusion. So yeah, that was rough, unfortunately. Maybe it was stupid of me to use Imperm on that, but you know, the whole point is I did see Imperm when I sided it in. And also the cards, which I will also discuss, like what cards I sided in, what cards I sided out as well. But usually when the cards I would take make space for Imperm was just Droplet, because I was a bit worried I would end up being hit with Shifter. There was quite a number of Shifter decks out there, guys, but you know, I was just a bit worried maybe if they get hit with Shifter, then Droplet is just dead, so may as well just put Imperm for that. So yeah, this is the side deck. I'm pretty happy with it. I don't know, guys, like I was expecting to go up against a lot of ryzeal and Malice players, but unfortunately, because of like the rounds I won and when I ended up losing, it sort of messed up my chances of going up against Malice or ryzeal. Sure, I did end up going, like, you know, table up much higher, close to where the ryzeal and Malice players were, but I didn't end up versing them. But you know, this side deck is specifically mainly built for Malice and ryzeal, and you know, just Harpies and Lightning Storms as board breakers and Imperms just as an interruption. So yeah, that is it. I'm sorry for the weird cut there, but yeah, I am pretty happy with this branded list. It was good. I didn't see my beast shields, but you know, I did see branded fusion, or had access to it. Grass was there. I resolved it, guys. It was good. Hit a Telemon name. Super Poly came in clutch a lot, you know, just slowing down my opponent or breaking down the board quite a bit. So yeah, this was the deck list. We won 3. The games we won against, let's see, I lost to, okay, so game 1, okay, game 1 I went up against Mech Knights. What happened was the Mech Knight player, he won the dice roll and made me go first. So I thought I was going up against Tempai. I had a pretty good hand. I went grass, then I got access to branded fusion. So because I felt that I assumed that I was going up against Tempai, I basically, my inboard was I managed to put Furious and Caritas on the field. Caritas because I mowed a Telemon name and you know, I triggered it, so I decided, okay, cool, we're just gonna send back one Despia to put Caritas, you know, just put a fusion on the field. If you know, I mean, Caritas is good against Senpai if they don't have the field bow, basically. So I managed to put Furious, Quiritus, and I managed to set up Branded Banishment to give me access to Lad because Rebellion was on the field. And unfortunately, in game 1 against the Mac Knight player, he went Lightning Storm. My entire back row, I had Branded Banishment, I had Regained, I had Branded Lost. I think I also had Branded, yeah, I had Branded Red. Guys, listen, my back row was full. It was a good turn for me, but he went Lightning Storm. It was fine. We just activated Branded Banishment and Branded Red. You know, why not just add a card? I did put Adlib in Grave, so I went Branded Red, using Adlib and Quiritus to go into Predator Plants, and then Banishment just did summon Lad. So basically, I ended up with Borrowload Furious, Lad, and Dragos Stupenda, which is a good good board after getting hit with Lightning Storm. I didn't use Adlib to reborn Quiritus because it would have ended up being negated by Lad, but unfortunately I got hit with Dark Ruler no more, so that messed up a lot. And you know, Mech Knights, they have those trap cards which can basically negate a spell or trap if it activates in the same column as where a Mech Knight card is. So listen, basically I ended up losing follow-up, so kind of in a way, actually not follow-up, it's just those Magnite traps negating either the monster effect or spell effect screwed me over. So yeah, that he won game 1. Game 2, I made the Magnite player go first because basically he needs cards in the same column, well, 2 cards in the same columns to do his, his plays. But unfortunately what happened was I ended up drawing a good hand. I drew Quem, Branded Fusion, I think Fusion Deployment, and I think I had either Albaz or Aluba. No, I had Albaz, and then I drew into Thrust for my turn. But what happened was the opponent had D barrier set, and he managed to set up the trap which negates a monster effect, which was fine. It was fine. Like, I summoned Aluba, he negated it, but I already had Fusion and I had Thrust in hand, and unfortunately he hit me with D barrier. And then I could have used Thrust to set Fusion Duplication, but it wasn't good. I don't know, I actually forgot to use Thrust in that game, so that's partly my fault for losing the first round against Magnites and game 2 just not using Thrust, because he did end up using, I think it was, he had SP on the field or something. Yeah, he had SP on the field, so yeah, that was unfortunate. That's how game 1 went. Magnites, yeah, I was not expecting Magnite, guys. I thought it was Tempai because he made me go first even though he won dice roll. So yeah, that was unfortunate. That was I think that's what cooked me for the rest of the tournament, not being able to go up against Maliss or ryzeal today. So that was game number 1. And then game number 2, I think it was against, okay, there was a Spiral player, so I'm not going to talk about the game. He was new to Yu-Gi-Oh! He was trying to get into the game. The next game, which was, I think it was against the Chimera. Yeah, it was against the Fiendsmith Chimera as a Mina player. So that game, that was a pretty nice game. It was actually a really good game. So the Chimera player, he won dice roll and chose to go first. Guys, listen, the link for Alba Aku, I think it's called. Yeah, this link is crazy. Okay, not crazy, but it's crazy. So the Chimera Fiendsman player, so he had the Azamina Sylvia, he had his Chimera Fusion monsters and the Chimera field spell to not field spell, the fusion spell, the quick play one. There is the recent White Forest quick play, which allows him to fusion summon as well. And he just also had this link for the Lightless Shadow, right? So listen, game number 1, he won dice roll. He sets up his board. I had no I don't play hand traps, so he mowed a card, cool. But what happened was, even though he set up quite a crazy board, we managed to actually play through it. I think I drew Super Poly, or no, I didn't draw Super Poly, but I had access to Branded Fusion. Branded Fusion resolved. We brought out Chimera. I mean, what am I saying? Chimera. Brought out Mirror Jade. We had a graveyard with some plays. I didn't get cooked in game 1, guys. We actually grinded. Game 1 took about 30 minutes. Well, actually no, not 30 minutes. Let me say 20 minutes. Actually, yeah, 20 minutes. Game 1 was a grind, but the Chimera play ended up winning that because what happened? I lost follow-up because he was playing the Fiendsmith engine. And what happened was he managed to put Desiree, as well as I think he had Sylvia. Yeah, he had Sylvia, and I couldn't get access to Branded Fusion. He negated my other branded spells and traps. He negated Branded Red, and basically I didn't have materials to fusion summon. So just to not waste time, I gave him game. Game number 2, I went first. It was pretty good. Obviously now, because we were a bit short on time, I think there was about 10 or 12 minutes left. So I did my combo, Branded Fusion resolved. I sided in Masquerade, and basically I had Mirror Jade, I had access to Lad, and I had Masquerade. Once my opponent saw Masquerade, he didn't want to waste his time. We went straight to game number 3. Game number 3, he went first. So what happened in game number 3 was, I think we had 5 minutes left. I think we had about 5 minutes left. I'm not exactly sure, guys. Maybe I might be wrong, but he did his plays. I had Imperm. I drew Imperm in game number 3, but when I used Imperm to negate one of his Chimera monsters, not Sword Knight, I think it's Baphomet, the level 4, the one that adds his Chimera Fusion spell or something, or adds a Chimera Fusion or a Fiend monster of some level. He already had the Quick Play Chimera in hand, so Imperm didn't do anything, which was unfortunate. So he ripped a card out of my hand, and he didn't do too much. He actually didn't do too much. There was I don't know the name of the illusion monster, but there's an illusion monster where basically if you can place it in a spell and trap zone, and then if your opponent activates a card effect, you can special summon it and gain life points equal to one fiend monster you control. So basically, he didn't burn it for damage; he just gained life points, because once he sets up his board, he didn't go full combo because he was just trying to rely quickly. He wanted me to quickly just activate a card effect so he can gain life points to LP, which ended up happening because I had to make plays. And even if I decided to just set and pass, he would just immediately go straight to battle phase attack. He could have just done that. So I was in a bit of a losing position. I was in a difficult position actually. So yeah, he ended up winning it that way off that card, which helped him gain life points. So we didn't lose badly to a Chimera Azamina Fiendsmith. The Chimera Azamina Fiendsmith, it is a deck like some other Yu-Gi-Oh YouTubers did talk about or even play and saying it is a good deck. That deck is actually crazy. I won't lie, it is really crazy. The fact that you can just like play the Fiendsmith, you can play this Link as well. Then you have your Azamina engine. Yo, dude, listen, that deck, the synergy is kind of crazy. So yeah, that was a good duel. Fortunately, we lost in game 3 due to time and life points. The next duel was against White Forest Azamina, I guess you could say Scarecrow as well. So the opponent there won dice roll and he chose to go first. He had a full board. He had his White Forest Synchros, he had the Azamina Sylvia. He was playing the Scarecrow. Well, it was Scarecrow and the Manadium Synchro, the one Visa's Synchro that searches the counter trap. So listen, that man had a lot of interruptions. Unfortunately, I do remember drawing Thrust, Talons, but I didn't see Fusion or anything else to help me fusion summon. So I think I had Cartesia. I know I had to normal summon Cartesia, unfortunately, and when I used this effect, he impermed it, and basically he wasn't activating a monster effect, so I just scooped because I can't force out a monster effect even if I try to like destroy something, because his monsters had high attacks. So he won game 1, I scooped. Game number 2, I ended up going first, but I ended up bricking. So I just drew 2 Eclipse, 1 Super Poly, a Havness, and a Mercuria. No plays. I set Eclipse and Mercuria. Eclipse and Super Poly. I didn't set a monster because I needed cards to discard, and also I was hoping to rely on Havness, trying to see what I can mold or something like that. But we managed to actually survive. We didn't get cooked immediately the next turn. He did his plays. Super Poly came in clutch because basically I tried to get rid of his tuners and anything, just bodies on the field. We managed to play through it. We did manage to draw into Albaz, and I had a second Super Poly in hand. So once he did his plays, he didn't have too much because Eclipse also helped me there to stop him from doing too many plays. And then when we summoned Albaz, I used Super Poly, fused away into Mergate, so we managed to play a bit. But unfortunately, he did end up doing a lot of damage each turn because, I didn't have too many monsters to protect me. And then eventually he just had too many high attack monsters, and he won game number 2 and basically won the round. So that was a bit unfortunate. We didn't lose badly just because, our deck is absolute trash. It's just game 2 we did break a bit, but we managed to even play through, even though we had just Super Poly and Eclipse. Super Poly, I went first into Mud Dragon. Then when I had Albaz, I used Super Poly to go into Mirage. I didn't bother using Albaz effect because then it's a waste of cards. Just summon Albaz, go Super Poly, you're Gucci. So it was good. Like against the Chimera and also this game against Azamina White Forest. Listen, branded can play. We don't need the hand trap. Sure, maybe they play hand traps themselves. They will have insane board setup, but listen, I think it's pretty good. With the way we have these board breakers and grass and infusion, we have a lot of things to help us keep playing. Anyways, moving on, so we lost against Chimera Fiendsmith, we lost against the Forest Azamina, then we had the Adventure Scarecrow, which ended up winning, Adventure Engine, and then the Scarecrows, but we managed to play through that. There's not much I will talk about there. It wasn't like really grindy or anything. The player here ended up not having enough Scarecrow monsters on the field to go into his Link 3 at some point, and Super Poly helped. Super Poly really helped. I used Super Poly to break his Azamina engine because the token and what else? There was something else. The token was an Earth Fairy and something else was an Earth Azure. So basically I made Griffin offline because I got rid of the token. So I was able to play through it all. He did play hand traps, but we managed to play through it all. And then the last game, so yeah, we won against Adventure Scarecrow, and the last game was a Branded Mirage. In that game, the Branded player, he wasn't playing grass. He was playing 60 card, but he was actually playing Nadir Servant, a heavy bestial count, and he was playing, I think he played Imperm and Nibiru, yeah, as hand traps. So yeah, Nadir Servant, he went first. He had to use Nadir Servant in order to make plays, and he was away. I was playing Branded as well because no other deck plays 60. So yeah, even though in end phase he had Quem, Cartesia, Grand Gugno, he had, I think, Branded Banishment or Branded Red setup. Grand Nadir Servant, basically I sent Albion the Branded and Titany Clad. So Albion effect in the end phase searched me Branded Fusion, and we had, what's his name, Titany Clad summon Albaz effect. He didn't have a way to negate Albaz, so we ended up breaking his board. I got rid of his Quem to go into Albion, then Albion effect, I banished the Titany Clad and the other copy of Albion engraved, which I already activated, to go into Star Source to pop the banishment that he set. So essentially I broke his board in his end phase, and I think I had Super Poly, I had Branded Fusion, he didn't play Ash, so it is resolved. Had lost, broke his board, dealt a grind. Game 1 was actually a bit grindy. We actually had to reach like turn 3? No, turn 4. Turn 4 to actually deal the first damage, but I managed to outgrind him. Retribution came in clutch there because Retribution was just negating his effects to fusion summon. In that same game 1, what happened was, even though I went game 2, I couldn't go for game because he had Nibiru. My opponent had Nibiru in hand, so I comboed crazy, and then he dropped Nibiru before I entered battle phase, so that wiped out my entire field. But it was fine because we managed to set I said Branded Retribution because I knew, okay, I need to stop my branded opponent from special summoning a fusion monster, and we had Quem to hopefully reborn Mergeade. So we had a decent number of interruptions for our opponents when it came back to his turn, and then in his turn he managed to add Branded Fusion to hand, but I never used Retribution to negate Branded Fusion, because Branded Fusion, if you negate the activation, he can just activate it again if he can add it to hand. So I decided, when he activated Branded Fusion, and he didn't have loss because we popped it, when he activated Branded Fusion, it resolved. He went into Albion, and when he used Albion effect, that's the time where I use Retribution, because Albion, it says you can only use the effect once. So that's when I decided to use Retribution. And then, so in game number 1, I managed to, stop him from summoning a board, and we managed to just jump back in, put in a lot of monsters, and boom, go for game. Okay, then game number 2, my branded player did end up going first again. He did have a bit more plays. He did resolve Branded Fusion. He went into Dragoon instead of Mergeade there, but unfortunately he was forced to use Dragoon on Fusion deployment because I summoned Albaz and I used Albaz effect to Fusion. And even though Albaz got destroyed, I had Branded in white in my hand, so I was like, it's fine. Even if Albaz goes to grave, I can still perform a Fusion. And my hand was kind of cracked because I opened Branded Fusion as well, and Branded lost in the same hand. So yeah, it was pretty cracked. Game number 2, I managed to break his board, and I had insane follow-up. I was just preventing him from fusion summoning, and I just overwhelmed the board, dealt a lot of damage, and won the game. So yeah, those were my matchups. We didn't go up against Maliss and ryzeal Fiendsmith, unfortunately, so I can't comment anything on that. But with the ryzeal and ryzeal and Maliss decks here, and Supreme Darkness is out, Eclipse Twin, guys, I won't lie, Eclipse Twin does so much for the ryzeal deck. It's actually crazy. So with the Eclipse Twin being around, guys, it is a light Xyz monsters, but the whole case is that obviously Eclipse Twin is going to try to reborn Detonator from the grave, so playing the Bestials would be good as an interruption against him. But yeah, listen guys, I can't comment on it. Hopefully I can get some replays for you where we go up against ryzeal, the ryzeal decks with where they play Eclipse, or well, I would say the new support from Supreme Darkness. So hopefully we can see how that goes and see whether Branded can manage to deal and go up against that deck. But yeah guys, that was the matchup. Siding patterns now, it's generally in most of my games, if I was going first, obviously where the cards that I would take out to put in my 3D barriers, usually I would end up taking one Bestial Rebellion. If I wasn't playing a deck that was heavy on lights and darks, I would take out the one Rebellion. Sometimes I would take out the one Jerusalem as well if I felt like, I don't need that many Bestials, so one Bestial Rebellion, one Jerusalem. And sometimes I would also end up just taking out either Branded in white or taking out Branded sword as well. So those generally, so it would be the 3D barriers being swapped for one Rebellion, one Jerusalem, and either maybe one Branded sword or one Branded in white, depending on whether I felt like I'm gonna need to rely on sword to banish add back my banished cards, or branded white because I'm like, it's fine, it's cool, we can sacrifice that out. So yeah, if I wanted to side in imperms, the 3 imperms, if I had a feeling or knew if I was going against a deck that plays shifter and they were siding it in, or playing main deck, 3 imperms would be swapped for the 3 droplets, because droplet is dead under shifter, right? So generally that is the case. Sometimes I would take the 3 imperms and I would take it out for Book of Eclipse, because I felt like Book of Eclipse wouldn't do much against my opponent, because either they had a lot of links on the field. Generally, sometimes I would do that. I only did that once, but it was mainly swapping out droplets for the impermanence. That's the main reason why, because playing impermanence and droplets felt a bit too much, so I would take those out for that. Then for Harpies and Lightning Storms, generally if I'm going second, Harpies and Lightning Storm will be swapped out for branded regained, branded banishments, and usually I'll take out 1 Jerusalem for that, or even 1 Bestial Rebellion instead. So those are the cards I would side them out. When it came to Lancia, if I'm going up against Malice, obviously I'm going to assume that they're gonna either they'll play shift or not. Sometimes I'll just take out the Lancias for take out the Book of Eclipse and swap them for Lancias. Reason why: Book of Eclipse, it's a link deck. What exactly are you stopping? If we want to dodge Imperm or Veilers, you have droplets, you have super polymerization, so Eclipse is not going to help you there. So we put the Lancias in for Book of Eclipse. We're putting the 1 Sanctum. If I'm going first game 2 or 3, the Sanctum, usually I'll take it out for, I think it was 1 Bestial Rebellion. Generally I was always taking out 1 Bestial Rebellion for something. Always. Playing a high Bestial count is good, but I felt like, okay, you don't need the 3rd one, just take out 1 Bestial Rebellion for Artifact Sanctum. If I felt like, okay, my opponent most probably has shifter, or we're going to get hit with shifter going game 1 or game, well, if we're going first in whichever game, 2 or 3, I would generally take out the droplets, swap them for the imperms instead, because droplet is dead under shifter. But yeah, that was generally my siding patterns, guys. Overall in this regional, listen guys, branded is not dead. It's literally not dead. I was playing 60. I wasn't playing any hand traps, sure, but some people be like, that's crazy, you're gonna have to deal with the full board. But I actually had good games. Even when the opponent went full combo, I didn't feel like, okay, there was the one game against the White Forest Azamina where I didn't have any other monsters, so I couldn't do much. Sure, I had thrust and talents, but I couldn't force a monster effect to activate, so those were just dead. But generally in the case where my opponent went full combo, I managed to play through it all. I didn't scoop immediately on my turn. We did what I could, past turn, he did his things, I interrupted him where I can, and we had a bit of a grind. So branded is really good, guys. Listen, this deck is not dead. If someone out there says this deck is dead, listen, they're idiots. Don't listen to them. This deck is not dead. It actually stands a chance of competing. Obviously now I don't know how it will be doing against the new support for ryzeal, and obviously Malice is getting new support as well, some crazy support actually. So listen, we're gonna have to see how this deck goes against the meta, but this deck is good. It is relevant, it can be played, it stands a chance. Some decks out there just have crazy follow-up, crazy engine. No, you know what's the biggest problem actually, or the biggest issue, is that we had decks that were playing 3 different engines. There was one that was playing Tempai, Bestial, Fiendsmith. There was the first place actually. The first place winner, the winner of the regionals, was not a ryzeal player. It was not a Malice player. It was not a Tempai player. I'm sure Tempai is not really that up, but Tempai, it's something that has won recently. It was actually a Mimigul Kashtira 60 card deck. Mimigul won the regionals, guys. Listen, the whole point is that in this tournament, what it's felt like is that there are decks out there that just splash different engines. Sure, maybe they don't have perfect synergy, but they are just engines in decks, bro. You have the Fiendsmith engine, you have the Azamina engine, maybe you're playing the White Forest, cool, then you have the ryzeal, then you have the Chimera. Listen, there's just so much you need to deal with, guys. It was just crazy. But listen, branded, we managed to play through all of that, and I'm happy. I'm really happy. This deck, I actually managed to play through all of it. Fortunately, if I was able to see my bestials, that would have been different. I didn't see Serenia, I didn't see Mag, I didn't see Jerusalem, I didn't even see Bestial Rebellion, which is crazy. I just only sent this off Branded Fusion. But this deck did pretty well. It really did. Unfortunately, we ended up losing 3 of our games. But it's not because we lost because, oh, you bricked, you just pass, whatever. Even though I did brick against the one game where I just had super power and eclipse, we didn't lose immediately. We actually only lost like maybe turn 5 or turn 6. You know, this, every time I go up against whatever deck, there's always a grind somehow. This deck doesn't just lose immediately. It doesn't lose easily. It doesn't just die turn 2, die turn 3. You actually need to work for your win. That's how it feels. Like other decks, they're not taking that win very easily. You actually need to work for it. Okay, either you get insane follow up and I can't, you know, match, or just overcome or get past the amount of follow up you have. So then obviously that will take the win. But this deck, we don't lose immediately, guys. We don't lose immediately. This deck did really well. I enjoyed. The regional was good. It was a bit disheartening that we lost those rounds, but you know, it's beginning of the year. We're testing first regionals as well. But you know, also Supreme of Darkness came out, so new decks out there. Sure, didn't go up against the top meta decks, but you know, it's good. I had a good experience. This deck can compete. I was even worried, like, crap, I'm not playing hand traps. I'm not, you know, no hand traps are being played. The opponent's going for full combo, but we literally played through all of the interruptions. We could break down the board. It was good. This branded is literally such a good board breaking deck. It literally is. It's good. No hand traps, and we're able to play through all of it. Bro, listen, branded, best deck, guys. But yeah, guys, that is the deck profile. Just like I said again, the deck that ended up winning the regionals was a Mimigul Kashtera 60 card deck. He was playing hand traps. He was playing 3 talents, 3 crossouts. You know, he was playing a lot. There was the ryzeal. I think the other top decks, there was a bestial Tenpai deck. There was the ryzeal Mitsurugi. There was a ryzeal Fiendsmith as well. There was a maliss play as well. So listen, the meta decks were there. They were literally meta decks. Not everyone was playing the meta decks. We didn't have like more than half of the people there playing ryzeal Fiendsmith. There was actually a variety of decks out there. So I think, listen, like Konami's actually, well, not Konami, Yu-Gi-Oh's sort of going in a good way. Obviously this can differ. Everyone's opinion can be extremely different from mine. You guys must probably disagree, but I think, you know, we had a variety of decks. We're not just going up against ryzeal only, maliss only. Not like more than 70% of people are just playing those top decks. We actually had a variety of decks, and you know, there were some rogue decks that came out of nowhere like Mimigul, and they just won. So yeah, maybe you guys are thinking, what, Mimigul won? You guys must be trash. Now listen, bro, that deck, that Mimigul deck, yes, what's worse is the unicorn, Kashtera unicorn. They summon unicorn, whatever, and then they summon a Mimigul to your field. The Mimigul, if they manage to trigger the effect, listen, your extra deck is getting ripped apart. So yeah, listen, congrats to that guy. If you guys want to know his the Mimigul players list, do let me know, and you know, I'll find a way to get it for you guys. But yeah, guys, the regionals was a good experience. Sorry for this video for being so long, but you know, I just had a lot to say. Branded can still compete is the message I have for you guys. Branded can still compete. We're not playing hand traps, but we're still playing. We're breaking through boards. We're finding ways to play. So I enjoyed it. It was good. First regional, so you know, it's a good start to the year. So yeah, guys, that is the video, guys. If you did enjoy this video or have anything to say, please do like, comment, guys, and subscribe, guys. Also share this deck profile or this video with others, you know, any other branded players or anyone who wants to get inspirations for, because they're testing or preparing for regionals as well. So you know, just share. Also do share this video, but I hope you really enjoyed this video, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers.